I think it was late last year, or it might have been the start of this year. Some wiseacre, a senior, said to me, how come you don't have to do this?
Mm-hmm.
Could you even write a thesis, Mr. A? I said, well,
I
I
certainly hope so.
have. It's been a while, and that's an interesting thing.
Yeah.
I thought about it, and I said, some of them have asked me from time to time to exemplify or
Yeah.
to well, show me what
Give
you
us a
mean.
model.
But here's an opportunity.
Yeah.
And so I set up a quick little website for them, at Mr. E's exemplification site.
Mm-hmm.
And everything that I've required of them, I've required of myself.
Yeah.
The funnest aspect was coming up with the thesis, which this year is why every senior should write a senior thesis.
Oh, nice. Meta.
Yes. Yes.
That's good.
And they're very engaged in my efforts.
Okay.
They are so good at pointing out to me any fallacious reasoning,
Okay.
any weakness in my
That's
arguments.
brilliant, man. That's fun.
They are really eating this thing up. But forcing myself, not only has it provided them with a model, which I think is helpful to them,
Super helpful.
it's made me think, what am I asking them to do? What are the skills that I know they have?
Mm-hmm.
What have I taught them in the past that would make this possible?
Mm-hmm.
And wow, they asked me the biggest part, the draft of my proofs was just due this past week. And one student said, how long did it take you to write that, once they saw the 8 pages or so that I had put together with just my proofs?
Mm-hmm.
The bulk of my arguments, I haven't put the refutation of the other side in there. I haven't put an introduction conclusion. And I said, well, I started it when I was watching a study hall. I think I put a half an hour in there. And then a couple of days later, I came back after school and about an hour. I said, you wrote all that in an hour and a half. And I said, guys, I write all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just faster than you are.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm any better than you are, but I'm faster.
Right.
Don't measure yourself according to the time. Measure yourself according to the clarity and the content and the, how I'm doing it, not so much how fast I can do it.
Mm-hmm.
You'll get there. Trust me. By the time you get done with college, you'll be much faster
Yeah.
than you are at the present
That's
moment.
right.
But that's true of any art, right?
Yep.
My son and I were having a conversation about weightlifting recently, in which I was like, it's not just how much you can lift, it's the form. Are you lifting correctly, or are you using your entire body to do that curl?
Yeah.
Or just your biceps, right? And I think writing's the same way. That I don't think there's a form to writing. I do think the canons are legit. I think
Mm-hmm.
that in somewhere or another, you have to come up with what you're going to say and decide what order it's going to be said, and then say it.
Sure.
And if that's some sort of a brainstorming chart like I make, and then an outline, and then a draft, or if it's something you sit there at your keyboard and kind of work into
Mm-hmm.
all at once, I'm not as concerned about that as that you have, first of all, legitimately put. This is the problem with my students, is they don't know how to just sit and think.
It's hard. It's hard to think about translating your thoughts. Like it's hard to have thoughts that are worthy of writing down, right? Like to have only
Right.
those
And
thoughts,
so
it's almost impossible. So you have to have lots of thoughts, some of which are bad.
lots of thoughts. And I think one of the healthiest things, if when my students follow this, and I've got one student that's been thinking about their senior thesis now for since they were sophomores,
Mm-hmm.
and they made the comment, I'm glad to finally get it down. I've been thinking about this for a long time, and I'm like, well, there's nothing that's been stopping you from having a little note
Mm-hmm.
pad,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? And that if you can put some days between thoughts, it's amazing when you come back and you see what you've already written down. Your brain's been working on it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Subconsciously.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you come back, there's new stuff.
Yeah.
And if you can do that 4 or 5 times or 8 or 10 times, again, it's entirely dependent upon you and what's causing you to write.
Yeah.
I've got stuff that I've been messing with. This is way over on the other end of the spectrum, right? This is that purist,
Yeah.
starving artist. I've got stuff that I've been messing around with for years
Uh-huh.
and may never see the light of day, but nobody else knows it's there.
Yeah. Right.
So, but when I come back to it, that evening when I say, okay, I'm going to pull up this old thing, and I open it up and I kind of give the survey. There's parts that make no sense to me, and I start working with that, and then there's parts that, well, why didn't I ever think of this book? And there's a freshness to oldness, so to speak, or to removal.
Yeah.